Trailblazer. The University of Notre Dame Basketball program has seen its share of trailblazers. They are the legends who set the foundation that our program is built on today. Many of those legends followed a particular trail set by a 6'7" rebounding machine out of DeMatha Catholic, Bob Whitmore.
The love for basketball actually came from a cousin. He was actually in the Navy, came back from the Navy. I was probably 10, 11 years old. Took me down to 10th and R in Washington, D.C., and introduced me to basketball.
Well, I met Bob when he was, I guess, a rising or just finishing the 8th grade. And I got a chance to watch him on the playground. And Red Auerbach was down there too. We were watching the same game. And Red and I watched the game. And there were some more advanced players and probably more skilled players, certainly older players at the time. But Red looked at me and I looked at him. I said, "What do you think, Red?" He said, "He's the best prospect." And he pointed to Bob Whitmore.
Well, when I got to DeMatha High School as a student back in the mid-'70s, Bob Whitmore was already a legend at DeMatha. And he was one of those men where you go, man, I'm really impressed with him. What a class act.
Bob was a competitor. Every rebound, he felt that belonged to him. He was going to get it. All the post moves, he had them. Took tremendous pride in his defensive ability.
Playing with the Dave Bings and the John Austins who came from the D.C. area. We became known as basically as garbage men. In other words, hey, you don't need to have the basketball in your hands to be effective.
Whitmore's individual stats are worthy of being honored on their own. 1,500 points, 1,000 rebounds, 47 double-doubles, 6 20-20 games.
I can tell you, he got 17 points in the first half against UCLA at the first game. He played an amazing game. There is a picture of the opening tip-off of the UCLA Notre Dame first game there. and he's jumping against Lou Alcindor. And if you look at the picture, you look up top and you see where he's got the ball. He's like, Alcindar's down here, he's like up, tipping the ball, right? But if you look down on the floor, you'll see that he's about 3 feet off the ground. And Lou is still like maybe coming up out. He hasn't got off the floor yet. I mean, that's the kind of game he played. He was, boom, he was ready.
But I loved following his career that it was the same Bob Whitmore. He was the leading rebounder on the team, obviously. Scored his fair share of points as always, and defensively he always took the task of having to stop the best big man on the other team, and as always he did it.
In the game, Bob was the leading scorer, rebounder, block shots. He had made such an impact. The headlines in the paper the next day was, "What more can you ask for?" And I thought that's one of the great headlines I've ever seen. And he just dominated the game. And what more can you ask for?
Whitmore graduated as the 3rd best scorer and 2nd best rebounder in school history and established a DC pipeline that would forever change the course of Irish basketball.
He was definitely an influence, and I visited Notre Dame with Austin Carr. We visited together. Austin Carr had already made a decision that he wanted to go to Notre Dame, and he's asking, come on, let's go to Notre Dame. And of course, I'm like, geez, play as great as him. I love to play with somebody like that. Then they got Bob Whitmore out there already, and Sid is going to come. I'm like, God, we're going to have a great team out there.
If it wouldn't be for the DC pipeline, I don't know where we'd be in all-time wins and all-time NCAA tournaments. It's been a lifeblood, so to speak. Austin Carr, Collis Jones, Adrian Dantley, Don Williams, Tracy Jackson, Monty Williams, Jaron Grant, Eric Atkins, DJ Harvey, Prentice Hub. They all trace back to Bob.
Being honored by Notre Dame, certainly it's an honor. And that's something that I will always be proud of.
Yeah, I'd like to say congratulations, Bob. I'm very proud of him. Obviously very, very deserving, because they don't make him any better than Bob Whitmore.
I say congratulations. Certainly he was on the all-time greats. And I was proud to play with him and to know him as a good friend.
Bob, congratulations on the Ring of Honor. So well deserved. One of the class acts in the history of Notre Dame basketball and the University of Notre Dame, and the trailblazer of the DC pipeline.
I think back, and it was an amazing experience for me. I certainly want to thank God, number one. Certainly want to thank my mother and father, Hammy and Maddie Whitmore. I certainly want to thank all of the friends. And I mean, it's been enormous, the amount of friends who have supported me. Family and friends are very, very important to Bob Whitmore.